7 Dark Facts about Maria Monk. Maria Monk was a Canadian woman who was born on June 27, 1816 and died in 1849. She wrote Awful Disclosures of Maria Monk, or, The Hidden Secrets of a Nun's Life in a Convent Exposed, in which she claimed to expose systematic abuse of nuns and infanticide of the resulting children by Catholic priests, in her convent in Montreal. The book is considered by scholars to be an anti-Catholic hoax. 1. Awful Disclosures of Maria Monk. Awful Disclosures of Maria Monk was published in January, 1836. In it, Monk claimed that nuns of the religious Hospitallers of St. Joseph of the Montreal convent of the Hotel Dieu, whom she called the Black Nuns, were forced to have particular practices with the priests in the seminary next door. The priests supposedly entered the convent through a secret tunnel. 2. A baby. In Monk's book it is described that, if those particular practices produced a baby, it was baptized and then brutally murdered and dumped into a lime pit in the basement. Uncooperative nuns disappeared. 3. Brain injury. It is known that Monk lived in an asylum in her early years and that, one of the nuns mentioned in her story, was actually a fellow patient in the asylum. There is some evidence that Maria Monk had suffered a brain injury as a child. One possible result of this alleged injury could be that Monk might have been manipulated, and might not be able to distinguish between fact and fantasy. Another possible result of the alleged injury could be that Monk had little understanding of the devastating result of her claims. It has been suggested, though not proven, that Monk was manipulated into playing a role for profit by her publisher or her ghostwriters. 4. Suffered life. Monk was born on June 1, 1816, probably in St. John's, Quebec, Canada. The only daughter among 5 children of William Monk, an army barracks yard orderly, and Isabella Mills Monk. She had a troubled adolescence and was soon notorious for her promiscuity. She was confined for a time at a Catholic institution for prostitutes, located near Montreal's Hotel Dieu, hospital and convent and run by Hotel Dieu nuns. But in 1834, at the age of 18, she was discovered to be pregnant and forced to leave. Upon her exit from the institution, Monk met and, presumably, became the mistress of the Reverend William K. Hoyt, an anti-Catholic zealot. Then she went with him to New York City, where her first daughter was born, in July, 1835. 5. Public furor. Monk's book caused a public outcry. Protestants in Montreal, Quebec, demanded an investigation, and a local bishop organized one. The inquiry found no evidence to support the claims, though many American Protestants refused to accept the conclusion and accused the bishop of dishonesty. Colonel William Leadstone, Sr., a Protestant newspaper editor from New York City, undertook his own investigation. In October 1836, his team entered the convent and found that the descriptions in the book did not match the convent's interior. During their first visit, the investigators were denied entry to the basement and the nuns' personal quarters. There was much dispute regarding the existence of a tunnel leading to the nuns' residence. There were disputes regarding renovations to the nuns' residence and if the tunnel had been filled in or not. Stone returned to New York, interviewed Monk and concluded that she had never been in the convent. On a later visit, he was given total access to all quarters. Stone's team found no evidence that Monk had ever lived in the convent. 6. Disappearance. Monk then suddenly disappeared from the public view. It was later discovered that she had spent the 7-year period in question in the Magdalen Asylum for Wayward Girls. One critic points out that, a nun character in her book, Jane Ray, was actually residing with Monk at the Magdalen Asylum, rather than at the Hotel Dieu Nunnery. The Magdalen Asylum building was a very small wooden building, quite different from the described nunnery of the book Monk wrote. Many details of the story seem to have originated with Monk's legal guardian, William K. Hoyt, an anti-Catholic activist, and his associates. The writers later sued each other for a share of the considerable profits, while Monk was left destitute. 7. The Last Years. Monk traveled to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, with a lover whom historians often identify as Graham Monk. She penned a sequel, Further Disclosures of Maria Monk. When she gave birth to another child, Oliver, out of wedlock in 1838, most of her supporters abandoned her. The Boston Pilot published this obituary for her on September 8, 1849, "There is an end of Maria Monk, she died in the almshouse, still cooking as was her wont." Blackwell's Island, New York, on Tuesday. Awful Disclosures remained in print for years afterwards and was occasionally revived. There appear to have been two Australian editions, 1920, 1940.